the podcast for heroes in the world of Overwatch. This is The Payload.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 46 of The Payload. We are an Overwatch podcast from blizzpro.com. Today is November 17th, 2016. From Denver, Colorado, I'm John Horstman. With me, of course, is the crew. First in Podunkville, non-existent land, somewhere in California. It is Rosh. Hey Rosh, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. This week has been kind of crazy, and I think I can say that for all of us from what we were talking about before, but I'm excited to be back, have the whole crew here. Kevin's here this time, so we'll hear a whole bunch of, well, you're not wrong, but I'm excited. I'm ready to hop into the podcast. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, it's going to be fun. Let's head over to Camarillo, California with our good friend, Jimmy Bloxham. Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, always good to be on the Payload. It's highlight of my week, and I really enjoy doing this and talking about Overwatch. And I wasn't expecting to release the patch so quickly, so I'm excited for that. And
spoiler,
it's a really good thing.
You always go straight spoiler in the beginning. I love you for it, but stop it, Jimmy. Stop it.
Teasing.
And last but not least, our good neighbor in the north, our future overlords from Canada. It's Kevin. Hey, Kev.
How's it going, John? It's good to be back. Kind of a crazy week, and I'm sad I couldn't be here last week. I was still in California, or I think by the time you guys recorded last week, I was probably on a plane. But yeah, it's been a crazy couple of weeks. Obviously, BlizzCon was nuts, and we've got a ton of stuff to talk about. Jimmy has already alluded to the new patch, so I think it's going to be a cool week and a lot of fun stuff to discuss.
Yes, I hope so. I do hope so, because that's why we do the podcast, right? You know, talk about fun stuff, have some fun. So let's do that. But first, let's talk about our weeks in the world of Overwatch. Rosh, what have you been up to in Overwatch recently?
I actually haven't been able to dive into Overwatch Ranked since Sombra and all the patches hit live, so I don't know really how that's going. I did spend a lot of time on the PTR beforehand, so I guess that was kind of the same thing. I have mixed feelings with Sombra. At first, I was, not digging her, then I am, and all that good stuff. But it's been a good week. I've been watching a lot of esports though. Like I've been watching a lot of the Apex tournaments to see, how the pro competitions are really evolving their meta around Sombra and the support classes and trying to figure out the meta. So that's been interesting. I think that's mainly what I've been focusing my time on.
Nice. Will you teach me?
Yes.
Will you just teach me? Why do I suck at Overwatch? What is wrong with me here that I'm just I need to start grouping up and queuing with like the same group of people. I think that's what I need to do. I think
that's what it is. Yeah, and I mean, you have 800 other things going on in your life too. No.
Thought for sure that was. I saw you showing the back of your hand.
No.
My goodness.
You don't have 10, 12 hours a day to put into Overwatch like these pro guys do. So it's just unreasonable to think that you'll ever be able to put in that much time. And I think that's a massive, massive difference between pros and people who play this game for fun.
Just so no one gets it wrong, Rock was not referring to myself or Kevin.
Thank you for that.
I want to go cry in a corner. My dreams. Oh, my dreams.
Crush your 99. No.
It's true. You crush your 99 to my dreams is what you did. So, all right. Well, fair enough. Kev, what have you been up to, man? I bet you've been doing a lot of recuperating.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was super evident, so I should backtrack. For anybody who didn't get a chance to tune in or doesn't follow Hearthstone stuff, I did the TESPA Collegiate Regionals last week. That's why I was still in California for a couple of days after BlizzCon, and I got crazy sick. I was fighting off some absurd like sinus infection. I basically lost my voice. Just a super rough week. By the time I got home, I think I slept basically for 2 straight days, give or take on like eating food. It was just not. It was not pretty. And then this week has been insane because I'm back to work after 2 weeks away. There's a bazillion things that need to get done. And obviously all of the post BlizzCon stuff that, has emerged and all the things people want to talk about, all the stuff there is to cover. This week has been a total disaster. So yeah, I definitely have not had the time to play any games that I would have liked. It's been a lot of getting back into the action, but I've been trying to keep up with the happenings, I guess, in Overwatch this week, watching the patch roll out, seeing what people's initial response to things like Arcade has been. And it feels really positive. Like all the people I've talked to, all the commentary I've seen online has been really good. So I'm really excited. I'm hoping this weekend, I'm actually going to try to get my Xbox back tomorrow and get a TV of some fashion, even if I have to borrow one together so that I can play a little bit on both platforms over the weekend.
Can you connect it up to your desk monitors, or you
I can, but
DVI style?
I would struggle for sound. Yeah, that would be the problem, is I don't have a clean way to get sound out to my desk. So
got it.
It's time to replace the busted TV either way, right? So
right. Well, I mean, you could get a sound bar instead of replacing the TV, and then just bring it right in. Whatever. This.
Podcast.
Let's talk about this. Let's think about this. Okay, Jimmy.
In part by.
Yeah. Jimmy, what have you been up to, man?
Mostly just playing the arcade, and it's been a lot of fun, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit, but I want to get back into competitive, especially since I think season 2 is ending on the 23rd, I want to say, so that's right before our show next week. So obviously time is ticking on that. I'm a little bummed it comes the day before most of Americans have 4 days off in a row. That would have been nice to spend 4 days playing competitive, but like we've talked about before, playing competitive during holidays is kind of rolling the dice.
Yeah, there's every time a holiday, anytime a break like this or an event comes up near or on a holiday, there's always nobody is completely happy in that you have the people like, oh great, the first week of the season I have to choose between grinding competitive Overwatch or being with my family. At the same time, I'm like, hey, I have 4 days to do nothing. How about we get some competitive Overwatch in here? That would be really nice. So I get that. I played quite a bit. I played quite a bit on console. I played quite a bit on PC. And I think total between my two accounts, I gained like 35 levels between the two. So decently, like 17 between the two. So, or each. So, been going pretty good there. But besides that, just keeping it chill. Keeping it chill like Lucio. Let's go news. Go news.
This week in Overwatch.
All right, we do have a bunch to talk about this week, but before we do want to thank our MVPs, Adam B, J.A., Coral, and Tommy H. Thank you so much for your support of the show. If you want to, if you like this show, you want to find out how you can support it, head on over to patreon.com/Payload Podcast. You can sign up right there. We've got great perks. We play Overwatch after almost every single episode with our patrons right here at twitch.tv/BlizzPro around usually about 8:30 Pacific time. So yeah, it's a good time. You should take a look into it if you like it. And if you don't, send me an email. Tell me about it. Anyways, let's jump in here. Jimmy, what do we got going on this weekend? We've got some interesting stuff happening.
Yeah, we've got some really cool stuff. I felt this kind of flew a little bit under the radar because of Sombra and the patch coming out. But there's a free weekend for Overwatch on every platform, PS4, Xbox One, and PC starts November 18th, which is tomorrow if you were watching this live, through the 21st. So, and it's probably early in the morning on the 21st, that Monday. But this is a really great opportunity to get your friends who haven't had a chance to play Overwatch into the game for free. I believe it's just completely unlocked. I don't remember exactly the details, but I'm pretty sure it'll be like the other previous free weekends they've done, where everything's available. So if your friends are curious about Overwatch, and especially Sombra, get them in while there's no cost, nothing for them to lose. And a lot of people I know of have bought Overwatch because of the free weekends in the past. So it's a really great tool.
I believe it'll be similar to the first free weekend, where anything you unlock on a new account that you play will transfer over to your actual account. So there's that as well.
Oh yeah,
it's a win-win. I love
invite your friends.
Yeah, I have 3 or 4 friends who don't own the game who will probably be playing together over the weekend. So that'll be pretty neat.
I would say, if nothing else, I don't actually think I have any friends who don't own the game at this point. But if you've got friends who maybe don't own it on multiple platforms, it can be a really good opportunity for you to say, hey, look, I know you already threw down to buy the game on console, but do you want to try it on PC for a couple days and see what you think? And I'm going to try to push some people to go that direction. Say, look, maybe you decided the game was fun, but you're not putting the hours in you want to because you can't play with all of your friends because more of them are playing on, PC as opposed to console, or vice versa. That's a really great, easy way for people to get a chance to just try it without the additional money commitment of buying it for a second platform as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you've got that coming up this weekend, so make sure to take advantage of the free weekend in any way you can or want to, because it's free, and why wouldn't you? The other thing that we've got going on is we've got some cross-promo stuff happening, don't we, Kev?
We do. So for anybody who maybe missed the announcements...
Just...
No. Anybody who may have missed it during the BlizzCon announcements, there is a really cool cross promotion going on with Heroes of the Storm right now. So Heroes of the Storm, obviously Blizzard's MOBA, they're pushing it really hard right now. It's promoted on Twitch. They're doing a ton of new advertising for it. But one of the cool things they're doing is they're offering some really awesome unlocks in both Heroes of the Storm itself and in Overwatch for going in and playing with a friend. Doesn't matter what game mode you play, how you choose to play the game, as long as you go in, and the game is free to play as well, so it's not a massive commitment, but you go in and you play, I think it's 15 games for the Genji skin.
15, yeah.
Yeah, and if you continue past that up to 30, there are some additional unlocks available in Heroes for people who decide to continue playing that as well. So 15 rounds of Heroes of the Storm, you're probably looking at a time commitment there of 5 to 6 hours, depending on how you play or which modes you're interested in. But that'll get you a really awesome, unique Genji skin that isn't available any other way. So if you want to check that out, you can learn more on the Heroes of the Storm website, or just fire it up in your Battle.net client.
Yep.
Yeah, and I have to say this: when I logged on Tuesday, that was the most people on my friends list I've seen on Heroes in quite a while. So obviously the promotion is working very well, and I know this is an Overwatch show, but I'm really excited to see how they're promoting Heroes with this here.
Yeah, it's.
I think it's really smart. Like, we've talked on this show and on Well Met for Hearthstone about how good Blizzard's cross promotion stuff is, and I've got lots of friends who are really excited about getting something out of Overwatch for the first time in a lot of ways that is a good cross promotion coming from one of the other games. Because up to this point, really, there hasn't been much that you unlocked in Overwatch from the other games. This is kind of the first time.
Yeah, that's true.
In a meaningful sense, right? So it's it's nice to see them starting to do that, and I'm hopeful that we'll see more of that in the future, because it's one thing to get like the BlizzCon Bastion skin from your virtual ticket, but this is a way better way to get people engaged with Blizzard's other games.
And it's just a really cool skin. I think that they knew that people weren't going to be a huge fan of playing HOTS if you play Overwatch, because there wasn't really a lot of cross, player play from that game. Not a lot of people from HOTS were like, oh yeah, I'm leaving HOTS for Overwatch. So I think that they knew that, and they added in such a cool Genji skin that it was like, even I, who has never played Genji in her life, even I am going to go play 15 games of HOTS because I want this skin because it's so cool. So I think that it was really well done, even though I'm going to hate myself for playing these 15 games. I think it was really well done. And I think it's exactly the point, and what they wanted is what they're going to get.
Well, just so people don't panic, you have till like January, I forget the exact date, but like the first week of January to get those games in.
What I really struggle with is the skin is amazing. Don't get me wrong, it's an amazing skin. I think they did an awesome job. But I suck at Genji. I'll equip it on my Genji and never pick him, except for the one time that a team, is running a bastion that nobody else can figure out how to get past.
But you're still going to play those games to get that skin, though. So it worked.
The Heroes of the Storm, yeah. I mean,
but I think
Overwatch.
I'm just excited. Oh, yeah, that's true. I'm excited to get the Genji skin, even so when just the hero pops up in the background in between the games, on the main menu screen where the hero pops up, just to see him with that skin. Like, that's how good I think it is. So I thought it was pretty well done, Blizzard. Pretty well done.
The only thing I'm not totally 100% sold on is the timing of this and the free Overwatch weekend at the same time. Because I don't know about you guys, but I've seen most of the people on my friends list who would have been on Overwatch spending what little free time they have this week trying to crush up these games of Heroes, because it is for the average person, it's going to take them a few hours to do it. And I love Heroes, so it doesn't bother me at all. But for the people who are like, this is something I'm going to try because I specifically want the Overwatch reward and that's my motivation, it feels really awkward to do that and have all of the people pulled away from Overwatch who would also hopefully be bringing their friends to play in the free Overwatch weekend. Now, like Jimmy said, obviously this promotion lasts longer than that. Maybe it's going to be better, around the holidays or stuff like that. But as a whole, it definitely to me felt like maybe these two could have been staggered, like just a touch.
Yeah, it's definitely a little awkward. They basically starting around the same time.
At the same time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, I'm hitting my heroes limit, guys. I'm hitting.
Oh,
this is. I'm already kind of. No, I don't want to. I don't want to deal with it.
You don't want to talk about how good the heroes are that you get for free after 30 games?
Jimmy and I can do that for you.
I'm kidding. Move on.
Yeah, let's do that. That sounds great.
You're literally sleeping on your microphone right now.
Yeah. What? Hey, everybody. Welcome. Sorry. Where are we? Okay, let's do this. So we have ourselves a BAP to talk through. A big A patch. So we're going to just jump right on down through this here. Let's do it. All right. Sombra's here. Guys, Sombra is alive.
Yeah.
And Liz, you were the one whining about it last week. How do you feel about it this week?
Oh my gosh. Like I said earlier, it kind of started as I thought she was super OP, then I thought that she was underpowered, and now kind of feel like she's not going to be played in a lot of games, but she'll see some competitive play. And I don't know. I think it's exactly how I felt with Anna, where it's like, except the opposite way. I didn't think that she was going to be played, and then she was played, and now she's overpowered. And I give up on trying to figure out what the meta is going to be, if she's going to be played in competitive play and all that, because I have no idea now. All I know is that Mercy is a good counter for her, so I'm happy. It's fine.
Fair.
Mercy mains everywhere rejoice.
Yeah, I've been playing with it a little bit, and I've kind of been watching. We've had the OGN tournament going on, all the Korean teams and a couple Western teams playing, and they're in the middle of their kind of season. I don't want to say brackets because it's kind of an elongated tournament over a few weeks. And when Sombra went live, they're like, yes, she will be allowed to be played. And the little bit she has gotten played has not been great. There was one of the top posts on the Overwatch subreddit was the first time that Sombra saw competitive play. And it was, I believe, a player from Lunatic High, or it was the team against it. He just got crushed by an Ana twice in a row, and it was, just done. And so it's kind of tough because I feel like Tracer is really interesting in the fact that she has 3 of her little blinks and she has her recall, and those blinks are on really short cooldowns. So as long as you're semi-competent at managing these things, like, you're good to go. However, how I've been seeing Sombra play is that they stealth in behind someone, they hack them, and then they, focus that one target down, and then if you're coordinated at all, the team turns around and shoots you, and you're a Tracer with just an okay, with an okay blink or recall is about all that I've seen. And so I think that might be one of the things that keeps her from competitive play, is I think that you have to find a way to stagger her abilities. And unless teams find a way to do that, it'll just keep being this cheap thing. It feels awful when you're the one getting targeted and then you can't use any of your abilities and your team doesn't turn around. You start to cry, start to wonder why you're playing this game instead of Hearthstone. And, it just kind of goes down that dark into that dark place. But, overall, I thought I would be worried about the stealth. I'm actually more worried about the hacking and the ability disabling. The stealth, whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
It's fine. The hacking and stuff, it's either going to be tuned down so much or it'll just never be strong enough to see competitive play.
I think the thing about the hack for me right now is it doesn't have an organic counter. Right? Like, you can't counter hack it with your own Sombra. There's nothing in the game that answers it, which again just feels really bad. And honestly, something as simple as having the hack effect wear off when she's killed, like having it disabled when Sombra dies, would feel way better and way cleaner in the gameplay sense of, like, if you run into something, and I'm going to use like a simple example, like a hacked health kit, right? That feels awful. And it feels doubly awful if you kill Sombra and then walk in and do it. And, like, you just won that fight. You just killed her, and you're still being punished by an effect that would otherwise have been eliminated. Because, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, are there any other effects that outlast a character being alive? Like,
ultimates.
Ultimates,
Maze ults.
Well, ults, sure, but I meant regular,
ultimates. I don't think there are regular.
Like the Junkrat trap doesn't.
Doesn't Winston's shield? Torbjorn's turret, Winston's shield, I believe, does.
Yeah,
Smasher's turrets, I think.
And turret makes sense because it's such a huge part of the character. Like, it's something you're adding to the game. But
the shield isn't that monumental, even if Winston's shield stays up after he dies. It's so easy to get rid of. And you can destroy it. You can't unhack a med pack when Sombra's dead. You just have to wait.
Right. And so my point is like, I can counter a turret that has been left behind by Torbjorn by killing it. I can counter a shield that Winston left behind by shooting it or ignoring it. Like, there's always counterplay available. There's no counterplay to hack right now. And that part of it bothers me because it feels like either, an opposing Sombra should be able to reverse it, or there should be a penalty for dying. That should be a thing. Or maybe there's a gap there where long-term the intent is for another character to fill that gap. But that's also not okay. Like, it's not okay for there to be no counter until another character gets released. More than anything, I think, hilariously, after all of the time we spent bashing on Sombra for months waiting for her to come out, I'm in, like, Sombra overload. Like, you see her in every game, on every stream. Everybody's playing her all the time, and the novelty has totally worn off.
Go try and play
already.
an AI match, Kev. I dare you. It's all Sombra.
Just all Sombra, yeah. And I can't...
That's sorry.
You go. Go right ahead.
I think that Sombra is going to be played differently competitive in, like, solo ranked. I think that she'll be way more effective in solo ranked than she will be competitively in tournaments. Because it's like John said earlier, if you're in a tournament, you have that team communication that as soon as that Sombra, you hear her pop out and start to hack you, your team just turns around and you're like, okay, well, the Sombra is dead because she's squishy. She doesn't have any way to get out, really. But in solo ranked, it's more of a problem because I think everybody here knows that there is no communication in solo ranked. So I will give that to her, to Sombra's credit, that I think she will see a lot more play in solo ranked than tournament play. And I think that's a whole nother story. It's completely different. I think that she's kind of strong there. But I think that every character kind of has their differences, their strengths and weaknesses in tournament play compared to ranked play.
I just want the novelty to wear off. Like, if she's viable and competitive or not, honestly, with the number of characters in the game, like some of them have to be better than others.
2 days.
Yeah, come on.
But like, no.
Give Kevin another ARG to pay attention to.
No, please no. We don't want you to show like that.
But it was the same way with Ana, right? When Ana first came out, like all you saw in every game was a bunch of people playing Ana, trying to figure it out, and people who snap locked Ana in competitive, despite the fact that they didn't know how to play her. It was like their first time using her, but whatever, new character, I'm gonna play it, right? Like that mentality, because the drip feed of characters is so slow, like. I'm sure that Blizzard has a strategy here and like a balance plan or whatever, but I would love if this is going to be something that happens again and again going forward for them to be like, here's 3 new characters. Go hard. Like, it's probably way harder to balance that. So it's probably never going to happen. But it would just be nice because it would be like, there'd be variety. You wouldn't feel like you saw every character every game, that you could never try the new character you wanted to, that you were playing constantly with people who didn't know how to play that new character. Like, it would just... It's one of those things that has, again, just like, it's like a feels bad moment, right? And that and the counterplay thing stick out to me right now as making the game less enjoyable than it would be otherwise. Like, I'll go back to playing and enjoying it more when I see Sombra every 4th game the way I see Genji every 4th game, not every single match, no matter what, on every side for everything.
I have 2 thoughts. The first one on the health pack thing, maybe the enemy team or the opposing Sombra can hack over that hack. Like, I feel like that's a good way to get around that. And she would have to hack it twice. So once to remove it and once to put hers on it, if that's what she wanted to do. I think that's one way where you can, losing that 1 health pack is absolutely detrimental, run a Sombra, take care of it. Big, done. So that was the first thing. The second thing is, I wonder if they shouldn't. I mean, I can't remember. Well, there was definitely no hero limit in quick play when Ana came out, where that, has at least changed. The only time you have no hero limit now is bot games and brawls and things there. So, for me, yes, every team almost always has a Sombra, but I don't look at it and go, oh, we can't function because one person wants, to play a Sombra over time. If you're playing, brawls or oh my God, why can't I think of the bot games? Yeah, you're going to have a bad time. But if not, then I think it's okay. I think that's part of it. The only other way I could think of to get rid of it, at least for competitive, is to make it available for quick play like 2 weeks before it's available for competitive play. So you play with it in quick play. Yeah, maybe
that would be a good idea.
I think that's good.
And then, cool, everyone's had a chance to play it, and now hopefully people aren't trying out Sombra in competitive play because they've had 2 weeks to do it in quick play, but then you have to mess with timing, and it's just kind of like, maybe, the people who are picking Sombra and not good at Sombra aren't probably good enough at the game to really matter anyways when it comes to that. So I don't know. Sombra.
It's one of those problems that can't be solved because people want to play with a new toy, right?
It's just a Switch. It's really easy for Blizzard devs.
Yeah. They actually have a button in Jeff Kaplan's. It's the back wall is just all buttons of these, user requested features that we'll never see play. He's like, well, I got the button right here, but it's tough. Let me give you this.
I have to reach behind me, and it's like,
we're just gonna say it's developmentally it's difficult, but it's on our list.
Really quickly about Sombra, though, I think what's really going to be kind of the defining factor between really great players and really good Sonya players is the use of the translocator, because I feel like it's a better recall than Tracer's recall. I mean, you're able to get in that back line if you place it in a good spot that's not going to get you in trouble when you relocate back. That's
right.
You're able to just get in, do damage, and get out. And obviously, like any hero, I think being able to use the ultimate at the proper time is going to really solidify how good she is. And yeah, the thing is that ultimate, like, can anything really counter it at all?
No.
I think that's
that's
kind of the concern of it.
Yeah, is that you can't stop her from using her ultimate other than killing her, but then she comes up and you just there's nothing that could counter her ult once it's used. And that's the only thing that
does Reaper's Wraith form get hacked? So like if he's in Wraith form and
no.
she EMPs? I'm assuming not, because that makes him immune. And I also believe that Zenyatta's ultimate is also not hackable. So if he's in the middle of the ultimate, it won't shut him down. So, I mean, there's a few things that might still work there. But I think Sombra, when she does see play, I think she'll actually see play on control point maps, or King of the Hill maps. Because you've got a lot of people in a small radius for the ultimate. B, the close health packs are kind of prime real estate, so being able to hack one of those might be kind of nice. So I don't know. I think there's room to see her there, but we'll just have to see. Let's move on though to the arcade. So the arcade, we talked a little bit about it last week. It's a 1v1 or 3v3 deathmatch, but we really didn't know how it would be received overall. And overall, I would kind of give the Overwatch team a big applause. It's people seem to really be digging the 1v1 and 3v3 game types, so much so that we're even seeing people already beg for a competitive version of it on the forums, which there's always going to be that anyways. Have you guys been playing with this? How has it been for you so far?
It's been really fun. Like, see, so both Rosh and I are like, yeah, we want to talk about this because it's been fun. Like I was saying last week, though, just the 3v3 especially, I think really teaches you how to play Overwatch better overall. It puts you in situations that you really have to get creative, like 2v1s or 1v3s and stuff like that. And those are winnable situations sometimes. So it's really fun to kind of figure out how to get out of the situations. And I think also part of the reason it's so well received is Blizzard did a good job of dangling loot boxes in front of everybody. Was there five a week you can get from it, I think? But yeah, I think both modes are really cool. I haven't played the one-on-one yet. I'm a little nervous to play one-on-one, but
I'm such a wuss.
It'll
Me
be fun.
Too. Okay, I'm glad we're on the same.
We're on the same page.
I haven't done it because I'm scared to get my butt handed to me in the 1v1, so I haven't even tried it.
Katie did 1v1. She
really?
Yep. And so Katie, she's the most like timid.
I was gonna say.
Timid, like careful Katie. Overwatch player. Like it's so adorable. And I see her going into 1v1. I'm like, that's going to be you versus one other person, right? Like no one else. You have to shoot. You can't heal. Can't do any of that. She goes, yeah, I know. I'm going to try it. She went 0-15. So she played 3 games, didn't win a round, didn't phase her at all. And I'm like, good for you.
Good.
Yeah, I would be crying.
I would break something at that point and feel like
I would be cold shower, laying on the floor, just completely naked to the world, crying. So kudos to Katie for trying something new. But yeah, 1v1 I haven't done. Overall, though, pretty cool. Like, I'm surprised at how well a more focused team composition and a more controlled team composition makes deathmatch work when 6v6 probably wouldn't. And I think they've done a really good job with that.
I think the other reason it's been so successful is there's always only been brawls to go to when you're like, I don't want to play 6v6 necessarily, or quick match or competitive. and you only had brawls and you were like, well, I don't like this week's brawl, so I guess I'll play something else. Now there's a real incentive to continue playing in Overwatch. Obviously, the loot boxes are a good incentive, but having these other modes and obviously the mix of the different brawls as well. So you're going to be able to find something I think almost everyone is going to want to play through the arcade. And this is just the brushing the surface of this. They obviously have a lot of room to expand on this, and it'll be really fun to see what exactly they do here.
Totally.
It's interesting, right? Like, to me, this is the best execution of this kind of conglomerate of features across any of the Blizzard games right now. Brawl as a concept came from Hearthstone, and it was this, you get once a week, you get kind of a new focused experimental way to play the game. And they copied that into Overwatch and Heroes of the Storm, and they kind of took it to StarCraft with mutators for co-op, and like they've done it pretty much everywhere now, right? WoW is getting weekly one-off events too. Like
Diablo is too.
Yeah, even Diablo is. Yeah. So this is very much like a Blizzard theme, is fresh weekly content, which is awesome. But it always felt kind of like people tried it for a day and then walked away. Like there wasn't incentive to continue using it. And then the other game that has an arcade mode like this is actually StarCraft, right? StarCraft has a built-in arcade, but it lacks the focus. It's just kind of a free-for-all where you can make any game you want with any settings you want, custom maps, built-in game modes, make your own. And it's just sort of haphazard and very difficult to navigate because you don't really get a clean picture of, these are the 15 options I have to choose from this week or whatever. And Overwatch, maybe because it's still newer, or maybe because it is just a controlled ecosystem as opposed to a user-created content system like the StarCraft arcade, it's just so good, right? Like the way it's built, I honestly hope that this model makes its way back to all the other Blizzard games, and that we get this same kind of thing where I can go in and I can play one of the handful of cool things that exist in the game when I don't feel like playing competitive or ranked or whatever in all of the other different games, and just have this kind of, limited array of options for ways to play the game and enjoy myself.
I think we're seeing the level of collaboration at kind of a high amongst the Blizzard teams. And even then you'd said that, this is the best execution of what we've seen the other teams try to do. And a lot of that's because, well, they did a lot of the dirty work, and then the Overwatch team just gets to Overwatchify it and, apply it, make sure that it makes sense and is relevant to their game. And I'm sure there's a lot of things that Overwatch does really well that the other games don't do, that I would be absolutely amazed if the other games aren't trying to implement those as well. I think it's definitely both ways for how that goes.
For some things, it definitely is. There's certainly game design elements, like how the ranked play systems work, where they're totally different from one game to the next. But this idea of sharing like how the game should feel and what should be consistent in the Blizzard experience, right? Which includes this idea of something cool and fun and relaxing to do in each of the games that changes a little bit week to week, like that nailed such a good, honest chord with so many people. I'm glad it made its way into the other franchises, and I just really love Overwatch's implementation the most out of all of them.
Yep, I agree. Let's move on to some more stuff in the BAP. So leveling changes are live. We talked about this a few weeks back, and it kind of snuck in toward the end of a show because we had all missed it initially, but the leveling has changed. Level 1 to 100 is kind of mostly the same, but the big difference is that at level 100, your experience does not reset. So it's now a static 20,000 experience per level, 100 onwards. So you never get that reset. So you can't sit at level 99 and wait for a event to come up and then just start, getting as many loot boxes as you can. So
yeah.
I think that's a big part as to why they did that, is you don't want to discourage people to play your game just so they can maximize their loot boxes. So overall, this is kind of interesting. I want to get your thoughts on how you feel about the new leveling system overall.
I like it. Because when the Halloween event came out, I think I was like 266 or something like that. So I felt super bad because I was like, I really want this Mercy skin. I really don't want to have to drop money on loot boxes, but I'm at the end of this level. There's no way I'm going to make 30, 40 levels to reset to get quick loot boxes. So it felt bad for me on a loot box level because I really wanted the skins. The Halloween skins were cool, and I didn't want to have to devote hundreds and hundreds of hours focused mainly on getting those skins. So I really like the changes. It doesn't really affect anything other than the fact that people, were sitting at 99 or 100 and then just waiting for that, and they were able to get twice or 3 or 4 times as many loot boxes as me because they just sat their characters at that level and then waited. So I really like the changes. I'm a fan of them.
Nice.
I am not going to do the math, and I'm just going to trust Jeff Kaplan in him saying that more loot boxes would have happened.
Yeah.
So yes, good thing. Let them do the math. I'm not going to try to figure it out. Overall, good change.
Kev.
Yeah. When this came up, I felt like we all sort of agreed that people trying to game the system to be able to get, the equivalent of 5 extra loot boxes out of a comparable amount of effort because they were taking advantage of the experience curve was silly. And I know why they did it, right? Because when the game was brand new and everyone logged in for the first time, they wanted you to have that experience of playing one game and hitting level 2 and playing another game and hitting level 3 and playing 2 more games and hitting level 4. Like they really wanted it to feel like you got rewarded really aggressively because that's how you get hooked, right? There's probably an argument to be made that system made a lot of sense for the initial leveling bracket, right? But I think it was always an oversight that it wasn't a flat amount after that. Like once you had prestiged and carried on, there was zero reason for it to reset. And to me, that feels like it was just an error. Like they looked back at it and went, oh, why did we not just make it different from 101 up? Like why did this even go live this way? But it's a good fix. It's very clean. I don't think that there's really a lot more to say about it other than that it probably should have been this way when the game launched.
Well, it should, on average, save people about a game per level once you get past that initial ramp up. I think it used to be 22.5K for
that sounds
per
right.
experience. It's either that or 24, and now it's 20,000. So you're essentially losing a good loss or an okay win per level, which, after 100 levels, that's 100 games that you kind of, gotten through those faster. So I get it. It's a better system. I still, honestly, Kevin, to your point, I like the feeling of prestiging is cool. And I think something that was cool with that is how fast you leveled up those first 10, 15 levels. It just kind of felt kind of neat, but like systematically, like that was the only reason why it was there, is to make you feel neat. And if there's better ways to make you feel neat, maybe through more portraits and more, art around your border, things like that, I think that this really shouldn't be a big deal.
And just to be clear, so that, we haven't misled people here, this is only something that takes effect after you've prestiged, right? So the initial experience requirements when you first start leveling to get from, I think, level 1 up to about 18, 19.
It's 22 or 25.
No, they lowered it. It changed, I think, when they made this change. But so the curve stops once you get up to that level, whatever it is, 18, 19, something like that now. And then never resets. So that's the only thing that changed. So if you are bringing a brand new player into Overwatch for the first time, they do still get that rush of getting a level every, other game at the outset when they first start playing. 14
through 100 now.
Okay, yeah, so it is lower than it used to be. It used to be you got easier levels up to 22, I think was the original
or
one.
something like that,
Yeah,
sounds right.
So whatever. They haven't made it worse for a brand new player is the only thing I wanted to clarify.
Right. Yeah, you still get those loot boxes faster. You still get that ramp, and then you plateau. Absolutely. Okay, let's go through some of these changes here because we need to. And there's a lot of stuff to go through.
Just really quickly, I thought it was funny that Blizzard's like, oh, these changes probably won't be going live. We're just testing.
Oh, yeah, and then
and
all
look
of
at
them
everything
did.
went live.
everything, dude.
Yeah.
I think that was the way to protect us. Like, hey, don't yell at us. We're doing a lot of stuff all at once. They might not go live, but then they all did. So I don't know. I guess that's kudos to them for making the right changes. There's still some changes that I'm not a fan of, but we'll get into that when we start talking about them. So
yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way. Sorry.
Yeah. So we talked about this patch, and a large amount of it stayed there. So before we go into the exact the exact changes, Raj, specifically, I want to ask you, how do you feel with these big changes hitting PTR first and foremost? Now that we've been through a whole cycle, they kind of, Jeff Goodman, I believe it was, says, hey, heads up, these are going to be some big changes. It's going to feel kind of weird, but we want to try things. We want to make it feel fun and fair, and we think that this is a great way to do that. Are you okay with these kind of big sweeping patch changes, or would you prefer to go back to the weekly small little patch changes, not a whole lot of experimentation going on?
I kind of like the big patches because I think that they did it right. They introduced it to the PTR first, and then they left it there for a while, and they let everybody get accustomed to it. I'm not a fan of what they were doing before they did this because I feel like not a lot was getting done. I feel like a lot more was done and efficiently and more effectively this time with the big sweeping changes on the PTR. And I think that overall worked better because instead of slowly changing once a week and then a month later, trying to change Diva's mech speed, but then maybe it didn't go efficiently with the change that they made a month ago. It's been so long that it's hard for them to go back and change what they originally did a month ago. Whereas now you can see how it flows with all of the changes and you can see the synergy instead of it being dragged out over time. So I'm a fan of it. I hope they keep doing this. I hope that they don't revert back to just doing the small weekly changes. But I also hope that in the future, when they do major changes on the PTR, they all don't go live because, like we said 2 minutes ago, like 90% of the changes that they said that happened on the PTR that might not go live went live. So hopefully that's not something that happens every time, but I like the direction that they're going, and it's definitely
you can only cry wolf so many times before people stop believing you.
Exactly.
But yeah, overall these are some pretty significant changes, and I haven't really had a chance to play with them yet, but I'm really excited to check them out because a lot of things got changed.
Right. Something that I was kind of thinking about when I saw the patch hit was when we see those 1, 2, 3 hero number changes at a time, and they're just tweaking. It's balancing to balance numbers, right? As how do we make these things line up where we want them to line up on a graph? Whereas when we see these big changes, a lot of it feels they're still balancing around numbers. Of course, you can't just not balance around numbers or ignore the numbers, but it feels a lot more like they're balancing around feel of certain characters, like the soldier change that we're going to talk about right now and go out of order because I chose that one. They brought his spread. They made his spread a little bit larger, but they made his bullet damage increase. I think it's like 12.5%, 13%. So, they don't want him ranging with McCree because he's not going to be as accurate as McCree anyway. So let's bring that back in a little bit. Let's make him more powerful. And we saw at OGN this whole week that we were seeing the Beyblade combo put on the put on the Soldier 76 quite a bit. And it was those types of changes. We saw Soldier come back. And I think with these bigger patches and these more drastic changes, you're able to address not just the balance, do the numbers match up? So on a spreadsheet, they look good, but you're also able to more proactively address feel. Does it feel good to be a soldier? Well, let's reduce the spread and do this. Like it's got a little bit of a domino effect whenever you try to make feel changes, unless you're willing to make those, simultaneously all at once and see what sticks. And then you realize, hey, we're really good at developing video games because 90% of these are going to go live.
Yeah.
Live. Little bit of puberty there.
Live.
So, all right, let's talk about these changes then. So, Soldier 76 we're doing first because I already talked about it. Max spread increased, bullet damage increased as well. Overall, people look at this and call this a buff to Soldier, and I would say that there's no doubt that it is. Raj, how has this been affecting kind of the higher end play?
I like it and I don't like it. I like it because Soldier goes so well with Mercy, and Mercy's damage buff with Soldier is so crazy, and I like it, and it might push Mercy back into the meta, especially if teams do decide that they want to run Sombra because of her mobility against Sombra. But at the same time, if the enemy team has a Soldier, which 99% of the Apex games that I've watched have done that same thing, you've got to take into a whole nother consideration of the game that you weren't before as a Mercy player, and that's, okay, when did this Soldier ult last? Because if I'm in the air and this Soldier ults, I'm done. And that's a huge thing, because if you take out one of the supports in the high competitive, level, that's it. That's the point. That's the fight. You got that, especially if it's a Mercy with Res, that's huge. So I like it. I think it just raises the skill cap on Mercy players, which is fine. I'm not against that, but it's just a little kind of back and forth. It's like they wanted to edge Mercy back into the meta, but then at the same time, the other soldiers on the other team, and we haven't talked about the Pharah changes, but they tried buffing Pharah, but then they buffed Soldier as well. So again, the Pharah also has to take into consideration, when has this Soldier ulted? Because now this Soldier can destroy me because his damage was increased. So I think it raises the skill cap, but it brings characters that I've liked as a Mercy main back into the meta. So I think overall I'm happy.
Nice. Any thoughts from you two on the Soldier changes?
It's a good change.
Yeah, I think it's really positive.
Yeah. I love it when you both agree at once. It's adorable.
It took him from kind of middle of the ground tier meta hero to much closer to where I think he should be.
Right.
He felt very difficult to play and get value out of before this change, because basically anything you could do with Soldier, you could do better with another character. He wasn't suppressing area as well or killing people as well as McCree or several other characters, right? So he just sort of vanished. And in some respects, that's okay. But in others, like, the game should have sort of that revolving, like, rock, paper, scissors feel to it, right? Somebody switches to Pharah to counter something that's going on, and I can now switch to Soldier to counter Pharah. Like, that type of swap is what the game should encourage. And there was so little value to Soldier that he basically fell out of that rotation altogether. And that felt really bad. And if all it took to get him back into relevancy was bump his damage a little bit, and then also change the skill floor a little bit by increasing the spread so that he's not just destroying people at all skill levels, great. Like, I think it's good for that to be a change that positively impacts him as a high skill character and, like, moderately impacts him as a moderate skill character.
Yeah, I agree.
What? Liz? Oh, sorry. I could have swore you started saying something like, and then just nothing. So
no, I was agreeing with Kevin. I know you don't like that, but I was just.
She hates that.
She was
hates
so
that the most.
You're not wrong.
She goes, yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, you're not wrong. That's
no, I like the changes because it's like Kevin said. It changes the character. And instead of it just making an easy character to play, it makes it to where if you're good at this character, he becomes viable. And that's how I think that characters should be addressed and changes should be addressed. They shouldn't just cater to, oh, now everybody can play Soldier, because then at higher levels, it's going to be insane because, if it can get crazy if they do it the other way. So I'm definitely happy with how they seem to be handling the changes. I think it'll work.
One thing I would just add to kind of bring this back full circle to what you guys were saying before too about, like, patch theory in general is the size of these changes feels really good because it helps bring a lot of characters back into relevancy and sort of address some of the shortcomings of the toolkits as the game has grown and it's developed kind of a competitive scene. I think there's arguments both ways there, right? Like, now that all these changes are coming out, it's cool that there's so many characters back in the meta that haven't been. And some of the changes are really awesome, like the Torbjorn scrap generation, which we'll get to, I'm sure. Like, that's a very awesome change. It just makes the character, like John said, it's not really a number thing so much as it just feels a lot better. But at some point, I also hope that they sort of get to a place where this isn't quite as a revolving door of change as it has been. Because up to this point, it feels like I can't go back to any character and play them the same way now that I did when I, picked the game up in the spring or summer. And it's odd to me to think that they're going to keep doing this forever, because at some point it would also be nice for the game to reach kind of this like stability where the pros who are playing this week are being forced to learn an all new game basically on the fly, right? To play at Apex. That's really rough. And that's not just a patch and a new hero. And that's not just a patch timing thing. Like, that's a patch thing at all. Every time a game gets patched, that's what happens. So a part of me really hopes that we eventually get to a place, because Blizzard used to be famous for this, right? Like Brood War and Diablo 2 vastly outliving their life cycles because they've just stayed in one kind of consistent condition. I hope that we eventually maybe see that here as well.
I think the way that the changes will eventually come from gameplay is the introduction of new maps and new heroes. Like, I think that's how they want it to happen. But when you introduce new maps and new heroes, you're inevitably going to get small tweak patches. But hopefully you're not, I would say a year from now, if we are still addressing, Soldier 76 just doesn't feel right. Like, that is, what are we doing? But at the same time, if I trust a team to like make the game feel fresh, it's the Overwatch team right now. So they're doing great work. Let's keep talking about some of these changes. So this is a big one, not necessarily because it's a huge change, but because it's going to affect the competitive meta, at least somewhat. So Ana's Ana boost, no longer Nano boost, sorry. No longer increases the movement speed. So you still get the damage speed. You still get I keep wanting to say haste buff because I don't know what it's called. But
no, that's fine.
You get the haste buff, but you don't get to move faster from this. And we were pretty ecstatic about this before, and it is live. It did make it through, and we did see teams change their strategies because it didn't get those movement speeds. You didn't see it on Genji as much as you normally would. You saw it more on
Reinhardt
against Soldier.
Yeah,
exactly.
Say, this kind of just kills Reinhardt nano boosting a bit.
Yep, sure does. So that's pretty interesting overall. We won't spend too much time on that, but we wanted to let you know that did happen. Diva is a big one. I think Diva is a big one personally.
This is the one that scares me the most.
Yeah, so her her mech health is 200 now, formerly 100. The armor remains 400, but her movement speed while firing is also increased by 25%. So she doesn't like totally stop and start crawling every time she shoots. What do you think about this one?
This is awful. I hate it. I mean, you know what? No,
awful,
okay.
Interesting.
Sorry. It's good for the game. It makes Diva more competitive. It was already so frustrating to try and disengage from a Diva unless you were in like a tight corridor or something. Like, there were a few places on maps like King's Row where it was really easy to like line of sight a Diva. But with how much mobility she has, with functionally being able to fly, right? And now being able to waddle faster. I'm going to call it waddling. She can waddle slightly faster while she's shooting at you. Like, that feels really bad. And I know it's actually going to make her a more playable character. I don't like dealing with Diva in the first place. And now it's like, you really can't ignore Diva. Like, you can't just line of sight her and pretend she's not there or run away from her for 3 seconds and not have to worry about her anymore. And that's a huge change. But for Diva players, I know this is a big quality of life thing where it felt like your mech died very quickly if you were under any sort of concerted like pressure. And it's tough, right? Like, you get punished really quickly by characters who can chew through your armor quickly, by Discord, by all sorts of stuff, that now it's like, okay, you get that slightly longer window where the mech is relevant, because Diva without a mech is not a really great character. So the mech needs to feel like it stays alive. I would say at least, like 2/3 of the time. If you spend a third of your time with no mech, that's probably okay. Any more than that, it starts to feel like, why would I play Diva at all? So
Yep.
It had to happen. I don't like it, but it had to happen.
Yeah. Let's keep going. We're gonna skip Mercy. I'm just kidding. We're talking about Mercy here. So Mercy's passive health regeneration activates after 1 second of taking no damage instead of 3. So that's a pretty nice change for you, huh, Rosh? Huh?
I'm not a Mercy main. I don't know what you're talking about. This doesn't change anything for my Overwatch gameplay. No, really, it's actually pretty monumental, especially against like a Sombra, depending on how competitive she becomes and how much she's seen in competitive play. Because if a Sombra stops and hacks and you're able to get that shift off faster, like she has some really quick burst damage up front. So if I'm shifting to someone, by the time I can get them, I start regenning. That's huge for not only my mobility but my survivability, which is something that was a big thing that kind of pushed her off of the meta. So it's pretty huge to be able to shift to someone, and by the time you get there, you can already start regenning your health. So it's pretty big. I didn't think that it was going to be that big of a change until I actually played her on the PTR, and it's actually kind of significant. So I'm digging it. I'm feeling the changes. I like the changes. I think they're good.
Good. I'm glad you're happy.
And it feels like this probably also feeds right into the next one, right? Which is Pharah. And now Pharah gets a massive boost to her flight. Jimmy is like doing a victory lap right now.
Yes.
I think that was a really good quality of life change. It makes Pharah feel a lot more fun. And again, like John said, maybe not a huge math thing, but definitely just more enjoyable to play and a better like thematic fit. But that also must mean that like if Pharah makes any kind of comeback from the little bit of extra damage and the little bit of extra flight time, that she's also going to be able to bring Mercy back, because you can just navigate around with each other so well, better now even than before. Technically,
she's going to be so good on that new map with the jump pad.
Well,
on so good.
You see the video of a Pharah going all the way down Eichenwald?
Yes.
Literally from the defensive spawn all the way to the offensive spot without having to touch the ground.
Smiles ear to ear for me. I'm so happy with this change.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's good. Torbjorn, this is a big one. We don't see a lot of Torbjorn, but we maybe will now. Maybe. Anyways, scrap regenerate.
Playing every game, maybe.
Yeah, right. So scrap generates over time now. So that is different. It used to only be 25 scrap per kill, essentially, per dead enemy. So it has changed now to it will passively generate over time. You will also, your scrap picked up because you still pick it up, but it's been decreased by 40%. And then his hammer speed is increased by 25%, and his damage is decreased on the hammer by 27%. So whatever the hammer one is, it's a big deal. You get your turrets up faster, and that's the goal there. There's not a whole lot to talk about there. But the scrap is a big thing. The scrap, for those who maybe haven't played a lot of Torbjorn, when you get 50 scrap, you can generate an armor pack, which is worth 75 armor, not health, armor. And armor is different, and it is better. So you generate 75 armor for your allies, but obviously when it only comes from dead enemies, it is kind of a snowbally type of thing. If you're not winning, like there's no way for Torbjorn's scrap to be relevant.
And the thing is, this guarantees you getting those shields as the game progresses.
Right. So
it just changes the timing, right? Like I think it's good because it means you don't have to snowball as hard, right? Like to John's point, you do just get to start providing that effect to your team. Again, it's a feel thing, not a numbers thing in my mind. My guess is that if you do the math, this is probably roughly the same amount of armor over the course of a game.
On average, for sure.
On average, yeah. But it means that the first ones go out earlier, so you don't spend the first third of the game where you just can't push that button in your toolkit. Like, Mercy can't use her gun until halfway through the game. That would feel kind of awkward. It's kind of the same thing. Like, all of your buttons should do something on your character. And I think that's a smart and relatively easy solution.
Yep.
We also totally skipped Lucio.
Yeah, he heals slower when he does amp it
Less
up.
good.
That's
Less
it.
good.
It's actually kind of big, though. It's actually kind of big because they
It
also combined with the ult decrease by 25%. It's so hard to get ult on Lucio now that it's kind of scary, actually. Really, all that Lucio brings to the table now is his speed boost because his heals are kind of obsolete.
Which is one
that's what a
thing,
lot of
but
people are
one
betting against anyway.
huge thing.
Yeah, exactly. With Lucio's speed boost is still crazy. Like, even though they tried to nerf it previously by decreasing I think it was the amount of time that it speeds or how fast it was that you actually were sped up. It's still a big deal for oncoming attacks and stuff like that. So he's still powerful. I still think he's gonna get played. I don't think that there's a way to edge out Lucio unless you completely edge him out. And I don't think Overwatch wants to do that. So I think it'll be really interesting to see the oncoming changes with him.
It is strange to me to note that this is, I mean, we're going to talk about the other one really quick here, but this is one of the only negative changes in this patch, right? Like almost everything was, let's bring a character that's not seeing as much play or doesn't feel as good back up. Let's give them something extra. And Lucio, again, one of the only characters where he's just been super good and super consistent for so long that they're like, maybe we see too much Lucio, which this is one of the ones I'm surprised with live in some respects, because with all of the other game-wide changes, it felt like maybe this wasn't necessary, but
right. Yep. We'll have to see. We'll have to see this as this one shakes out. In Apex, I can't really think of anything that really stood out to me about Lucio, but I probably wasn't paying as much attention as I should have for that. Last but not least, Zarya, her power gained from both barriers has been decreased by 20%. So this is also, I think, kind of an obvious one. Zarya, especially at high levels of play, is basically auto pick as a second tank. And it is because a good Zarya is just freaking ruthless.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
I'm bummed because I really like playing Zarya, but for the health of the game, yeah, it's probably
for the health of the game. That's what I have to say every time a nerf or a change doesn't go my way. For the health of the game.
One thing that they also changed with Zarya that wasn't under patch notes is they actually buffed her tick rate. So what that means is if you're playing a Tracer or a Genji, it was before they increased her tick rate, it was a lot easier to dodge her beams and not get hit as a Zarya or as a Tracer or a Genji because you're a quicker character, you're a more mobile character. Now it really benefits and it really helps, the good Zaryas and really prevents the bad Zaryas and really punishes their ability to track Tracers and Genjis. So I think it kind of evens out her energy debuff or her energy decrease on her shields by increasing the tick rate and helping her ward off the Tracers and Genjis. So I think that was a really good move.
Yeah, I agree.
She's also
sorry.
I was just saying, she's one of the only characters that hasn't really seen much in the way it changes up to this point. Like, if you go back through all of the major patches prior to this, not a lot of Zarya touching up to this point.
Well, Blizzard also, for some reason, was under the impression that Zarya wasn't like a main pick for the longest. I think they were in denial that Zarya was as big of a pick as she was because Jeff Kaplan came out and said, we really didn't see a lot of Zarya. The numbers showed that she wasn't picked, but in ranked she was an every match character, so I don't really know.
On a global scale, though, I wouldn't be surprised if she was picked less than some of the easier tanks, right? Like your Reinhardts, your Winstons. I actually, that would make a lot of sense to me because she is
now Diva.
A little bit more like, now Diva. But she's a little more niche, right? It takes a little more skill to play correctly. If you can line up her abilities well, she's one of the most powerful. But at any rate, it's a good fix.
I don't even know if you can solo queue as Zarya. Like I think her skill cap is very high.
Yeah. And very like combination dependent. Like I watched a good Zarya playing with a good Pharah a long time ago. I mean, where like every time the Pharah ulted, Snap got the Zarya shield every time and was just immune. And you're like, oh, actually, that's kind of gross.
Yep. And then
speaking of solo queuing with the Zarya, I know Kevin Knock, he plowed through a bunch of ranks, I think, solo queuing as Zarya, and that's how much of an impact that she has on this meta. And
it's one of the the people who get asked like, oh, how am I climbing out of, Elo, how do I get out of gold? How do I do this? Is solo queue? And 9 out of 10 times they're like, okay, play Zarya and get well at Zarya because she can carry the game.
Get good.
Well, wasn't Zarya the character that the little girl from Korea played, where a bunch of people had to wait if it was actually
because
her?
they thought that she was hacking.
They thought she was hacking.
She just deleted people by herself as Zarya without breaking a sweat. Like,
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Time is money, friends, and we're almost flat broke.
Yep. It's time to get out of here. This is a fun show. I doubted you all, but you never cease to surprise me. Never cease.
Every week, John's like, "Oh God, there's nothing to talk about. How will we fill the show?" And every week we're like, "Challenge accepted."
Exactly.
We did it, and I think it was really good. So thank you, everybody who hung out with us in chat. I think this was a fun show. We are live at twitch.tv/BlizzPro every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at twitch.tv/BlizzPro. Make sure to come on, hang out, and then play some games with us. Usually we're playing games after, so you should definitely come and do that. Patreon. Oh, yeah. Jimmy, what do we got going on with our Patreon this week?
Well, first of all, thanks to our MVPs, as always, Adam B, J.A., Coral, and Tommy H. Thank you so much for your support. Without your support, this show wouldn't be the same. As always, though, if you like the show and want to show your support, it's a lot of shows, head on over to patreon.com/Payload Podcast and find out everything about the show and all our tiers of rewards there. It's really awesome, and we're very close to our merch store. Once we hit $200 a month, we will be putting that out there, and you can buy shirts with that wonderful Payload logo that one of the other reward tiers got us to. So thank you very much. No new patrons this week, but if you want to get your name read on the air, go ahead to patreon.com/Payload Podcast.
Raj, do we have anything going on for iTunes?
We do not have any iTunes reviews this week, but that does not mean that we will not have any for next week. So you should definitely check us out at iTunes Stitcher Podcast because reviews help us so much. It's crazy. If you enjoy the music and it gets stuck in your head as much as it gets stuck in our head every single week, you should definitely head over, definitely leave a review. Tell us a joke because we read it out on the podcast each week, so it's always really amusing. But yeah, definitely head over there, leave us a review. It would be really great for us.
Yeah. Thanks, Raj. Okay, so no patrons, no reviews. Let's do some shout outs for the week. Kev, what do you got going on this week?
Honestly, pretty much nothing. I'm going to try to boot up my stream over at twitch.tv/OdinTV, Odin with 2 N's. Do a couple of heroic tavern brawls this weekend if I get a chance. So if you're a Hearthstone fan, you can come check that out.
Yeah, I went 7-3.
Yeah.
I got 7, so.
Wow,
that's pretty
really
solid,
good.
dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm going to do a little of that. Everything else that's going on will be over on my Twitter at Lack of Realism. I'm hoping to have some exciting news for you guys real soon. Today, right now, just going to hang out and do my thing and try to get back over the con crud and back up to speed.
Nice. Jimmy, what about you, man? What are you up to this week?
Just playing a lot of Blizzard games, just all over the place. I've been playing a lot of WoW, been playing a lot of Heroes, been getting kind of back into Hearthstone, and obviously Overwatch fits in there somehow as well. But just thank you to the Twitch chat this week. You guys have been really vocal, and it's been really fun to see that. I haven't been able to keep up with it as we're doing the show, but thank you guys so much for coming out
Totally.
and showing your support. And also, those of you looking to grab the Oni skin, let me know. I'd be happy to play some games with you, as I will probably be using a Smurf to get some of those free rewards in Heroes.
Me. Me.
I'll do it.
Katie and I would need to do it. Need to play the games. So, yeah.
Let's do it.
Cool. Rosh. Rosh, what are you up to this week?
I was like, are you asking for shout outs?
I honestly, so honest to God truth, I forgot if I already asked you about shout outs.
Normally you ask me first, so I can understand that when you get to Jimmy, you're like, wait a minute, did I just zone her out? No, I'm not up to too much interesting things this week. I think I'm just going to be streaming for the most part, checking out the new patches and rank. So definitely check out the stream. Like Jimmy said, though, major kudos and major love to you guys in chat, because you guys made BlizzCon really cool. You guys even made TwitchCon for me really cool a month ago. It's so surreal to see and receive the support that you guys give us in chat. So it's really cool to talk and interact with you guys. And I don't think I would enjoy the podcast with just Jimmy, Kevin, and, well, frickin' John. So if you guys are right here, so major shout out to you guys. I appreciate it. We all here appreciate it each and every week. As
John walked off set, so do we close it out here? Do we wrap it up? All right, it's okay. John, I got you, fam. I got you.
No, I get to do my shoutouts. I get to do my shoutouts. I'll let you close the show. You want to close the show this week?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we'll have you close the show. But for me, shoutouts, I am streaming every day except for Mondays and Wednesdays at twitch.tv/kicktripod. I'm going to be playing Overwatch Friday morning with Jocelyn Moffat, so that'll be fun. We're just going to be playing, hanging out. So that'll be fun. I'm going to cheat. Normally it's Overwatch and Hearthstone like all the time, but the new roller coaster game, I forget what it's called. It's not Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. It's by the people who made the original Roller Coaster Tycoon and then left and made Frontier Games. Their theme park making game is live, and I'm such a sucker for those. So we'll probably do a couple of those over the weekend. So yeah, twitch.tv/kicktripod. You can find my schedule and everything that you need to know about me at kickedtripod.com. So head on over there. It's a website that works now, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's it for me. Kev, take it away.
All right, man. That's awesome. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. It's been a crazy week. You can find out more about Overwatch and all the cool things we're doing to cover Overwatch over at overwatch.blizzpro.com. We owe a special thank you, as always, to Jake Butineau at jakebutineau.ca for our incredible, inimitable soundtrack. You can follow us on Twitter at Payload Podcast, or check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/Payload Podcast. As mentioned earlier, if you love the show and want to get involved, you can support us at patreon.com/Payload Podcast, or email us and let us know what we could be doing better or what you'd like to see done differently in the future. The Payload at blizzpro.com to get in touch. iTunes reviews are huge for us, so if you enjoy the show and can't support it financially, just leaving us a 5-star review and saying that you love the show helps us with additional exposure and makes it easier for us to reach new fans. And you can find us on all of your favorite podcast outlets: iTunes, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, Google Podcasts, and all the rest. For myself, John, Jimmy, and Rosh, this has been episode 46 of The Payload. We will see you next week.
Not bad, man. Not bad. You're hired. Let's get out of here. Good. That was not bad. That was not bad at all. I'm impressed.
6.5 out of 10. Okay, shut it down.
All right, let's shut it down. See you guys next week.
The Payload is a production of BlizzPro. Find out more about Overwatch at overwatch.blizzpro.com. You can find your host throughout the week on social media. Find Jimmy on Twitter at DJ Tyrant, Kevin on Twitter at Lack of Realism, and John on Twitter at Kicked Tripod.
Alrighty.